Thanks, Joan, and thanks for organizing another great event and for having me here to discuss this interesting topic. I will focus on the link between sustainable finance and sustainable growth. So on the financial side, of course, as you all know, the Greek banks have managed to reduce their non-performing loans at a remarkable pace since the end of 2020, from over 40% to something around 10% by now. This being said, as it has been discussed in the previous session, a substantial amount of debt remains in the economy, currently, of course, mostly with loan servicers. At the end of 2021, the amount was close to 80 billion euros, which is above 40% of GDP. So a big challenge will be to allow these indebted actors, corporates and households to get rid of this debt stock. And of course, debt deleveraging is not a painless process, as we all know, and it can in itself lead to prolonged periods of underinvestment. So what I will argue is that policymakers can enhance this along two dimensions. Firstly, obviously, by enhancing the functioning of the financial sector and insolvency procedures. And second, obviously also, given that all these actors are in the broader economic context, through structural reforms by creating a better and more investment-friendly business environment. These factors are actually also well reflected in surveys of barriers to investment, which remain. I have picked 4 points that come out of various indicators. Inefficiency of the judicial system in dealing with property rights and insolvency, access to finance and cost of credit, tax rates and stability, predictability of the tax system, and public administration, complexity of procedures, and low administrative capacity. Now, of course, many reforms have been implemented over the past years, and these surveys might not always reflect the latest state of play. At the same time, obviously, Greece also started from a relatively low starting point, which means that even though important steps have been taken, a lot remains to be done. Now, one major step that has been taken, and its author sits over there, Fotis Kormouzis, or one of its main authors, is of course the Insolvency Code, which is really a major step ahead in enhancing insolvency procedures. By the adoption of this code and by its entry into force about a year ago, actually, Greece was the first country to have implemented the EU regulation, or the EU directive of insolvency procedures. It's really significantly improving the insolvency apparatus, both in substance and in process. It simplifies and streamlines procedures, and it prescribes the enhanced use of IT. And it encompasses available tools in the context of both preventive restructuring and insolvency procedures, which is obviously expected to foster an effective return of viable businesses to productive use. And the code also provides a second chance to insolvent debtors. Now, the Recovery and Resilience Plan includes reforms and investments to help the banks and the state to better monitor and manage private debt. And it also includes investment to upgrade the IT platforms that are necessary for the effective implementation of the Insolvency Code. Colleagues have spoken about the banking sector. The cleaning up of the balance sheets has been a very important first step, and there remain other important steps ahead, and most importantly for the banks to become profitable. And one very important measure in the RRP that is expected to enhance access to credit is, of course, the loan facility, which will channel 12.7 billion euros to the private economy by 2026. And I'm delighted to hear, actually, that in the past couple of months already 600 million loan contracts have been signed in this context. Now, also regarding the other dimension, and I'm running out of time here, so I will speed up. There are other important reforms in the Recovery and Resilience Plan, addressing the business environment. And since I mentioned the judicial sector, there are very important reforms in this area, which I hope will this time be fully implemented, like the revision of the judicial map, training of judges, also digitalization of the judicial sector. It's very important to increase the efficiency of the judicial sector. There are also other reforms in the public administration, in the tax administration foreseen, also accompanied with digitalization of procedures. And we have already seen actually that the digitalization that has started during the pandemic has already brought a lot of positive impact over the past years. So I think there is hope that these reforms will improve the business environment. Of course, the implementation timeline according to plans is front-loaded, so I can only encourage the government to keep this timeline. And as colleagues have also mentioned, and Minister Staikouras has also mentioned, reaching the investment grade of the sovereign is key, and these reforms should also support that. I'll stop here.